Podcasts proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. Go to KingofAmazon.com when you do your shopping for Amazon to help the King of Podcasts. Shop for Amazon at KingofAmazon.com.
So it's been a rough day for people that are watching the news around the world. The coronavirus. I didn't think I would have to bring it up on this program, but I'm going to. I'm going to be serious for a minute. Yeah, I know, Landstorm. If I could be serious for a minute, I want to tell you that I've been in the media for over 25 years. I've done radio, I've done print news, I've done television. And I can tell you that I don't want to get on my soapbox about it, but I feel like I got to do that just to go ahead and be able to make my point on the program tonight. Look, everybody is all caught up in a frenzy over the coronavirus, COVID-19, COVID. I get it. We're seeing a lot of stories as to everything coming up. As I record tonight, NBA player Rudy Gobert for the Utah Jazz tested positive for the coronavirus. The NBA basketball season has been suspended until further notice, so no games are going to be played for the time being. Tom Hanks, the Academy Award actor, and his wife Rita Wilson are in Australia right now. They've both tested positive for coronavirus. Got it. And, we're seeing a lot of different cases. Washington State, New York, different cities. And there's about 800 odd cases of coronavirus now in the country. And we're seeing what's going on in Italy, where there's a full-scale quarantine in the country. China is now working its way back to normalcy because of all their issues with the coronavirus. The president of the United States has just banned any travel from Europe to the United States, along with any travel that was going on from China to the United States. So yes, kind of the borders are being locked down. Stock market took a 1,400 point fall, almost 6% off the stock market. And after all the losses we've had over the last week or so, whatever was gained during the Trump administration has dropped. So yeah, stock market is now back to where it was when President Obama was still in office. So all the gains that were made have come back down to equal level. Got it. So things are tough. And a lot of events, which I talked about on the Broadcasters podcast last Thursday, on my other show, which you can find on kingofpodcast.com or broadcasterspodcast.com. You can find it there too. So with that said, yes, that's going on as well, right? And we know that a number of events are already being canceled. March Madness will have empty seats to do their games. We know that the XFL, their next game, I think it's in Los Angeles. I forget where, or no, it's Seattle on CenturyLink Field. That game will be played to an empty stadium, but it will be televised. Then you have a number of events, South by Southwest, Coachella, Stagecoach. I'm learning this off the top of my head because I've been following the news. I'm not reading reports here, not yet. And today the World Health Organization has issued a pandemic for the coronavirus around the country. Around the world. It is a worldwide pandemic now. So people are taking it seriously. And, yes, take precautionary measures. By all means, you're hearing that. But by God, do not take into complete heart what is being said in the media. Please don't listen to these people. The media, and I'm not talking about fake news, and I'm not talking about politics, all right? There's a political narrative to all this stuff. But here's what I'm saying. The news is out for clickbait. They want you to click on their stories. The newspapers are dying. They're losing money. The TV stations, because, they're not reporting on actual news. We're not hearing about news that is who, what, when, where, and why. That is what news is supposed to be. There's supposed to be a church and state between news and opinion and editorial. Now, I talk about this on the other podcasts all the time. I am talking about this now in order to go and give you context for the coronavirus as it pertains to an event that we all care about, WrestleMania. WrestleMania 36 coming up in Tampa Bay. At this point, let's talk about what's going on with that. Because now that's what we're going to talk about here on the program, is the issues going on around this. Because the wrestling world is talking about it, among other things. Now, one of the things that has to be said about WrestleMania is that it cannot be moved from Tampa because of the fact that it was bid by Tampa. They must hold it there. As far as I know, nothing's being done about changing the date, postponing it, anything like that. So we don't know what's going to happen. And we know people are going to be traveling to this event in less than 4 weeks. But we're starting to see a lot of different sporting events now either being postponed, suspended, or pushed back. So that's where we are at the moment. The World Health Organization has said that as of today and this afternoon, regarding COVID-19, they said in the past 2 weeks, the number of cases has increased. The number of affected countries has tripled. 118,000 cases in 114 countries. 4,291 people have lost their lives. So under 5,000. And among those 114 countries, you're talking about probably at least about, let's say, 4 billion people. When you think about that, 4 billion people to 5,000 have lost their lives, right? And yes, thousands of people are still affected and are, in serious condition or something more grave. Got that. So in this case, the mortality rate is not very high compared to the flu, compared to other, diseases we've dealt with. Airborne diseases like SARS or H1N1, the swine flu, all these different things that were going on. These things have happened and everybody's really concerned about it. So it's been called a pandemic, yes. And so everybody's really worried about it. I understand that. Now, of the 118,000 cases, more than 90% of cases are now in just 4 countries, 2 of those, China and the Republic of Korea, South Korea. 81 countries have reported any cases. 57 countries have reported 10 cases or less. Now, in the coronavirus stats, if we're going to look at what we have now, if I need to go and look what the CDC says on coronavirus, let's find out what they're saying. I want to see what their numbers are at the moment. At this moment, and we're talking about a country of 320 million people. Got it? Here's the deal. At this time, 1,311 people in the U.S. have been confirmed to have the virus. 38 people have died. That's all over the country, according to the CDC. Deaths have been 30 in Washington, 4 in California, 2 in Florida, 1 in New Jersey, 1 in South Dakota. That's where we're at. Okay, got it. And at the moment, the CDC has been testing over 3,600 specimens for COVID. State and local labs have 4,800 tests. So if people are looking to get a test, they're going to get that out so people can go and get tested. Got that. But again, when you look at the numbers, right? This is the thing. 1,300 people have confirmed to have it. Got it. If they haven't been checked out now, they would have been checked out. And again, 38 people have died. That's unfortunate. That's tragic. But we're talking about 320 million people. That's a minuscule number. It's because, it's the way it's been promoted. It's the way that everybody has reacted to it. So I would ask all of you, please keep your reaction subtle. Please do not overreact. Do not panic. There is no need for panic here. And as wrestling fans, if WrestleMania does happen after all, it's going to be okay. Listen, I have to go to an event next Friday. I'm going to have to fly out to Las Vegas for a conference, the ASD Market Week, which is one of the biggest B2B wholesale shows in the world. 30,000 people are showing up. And there are going to be people that are not going to be able to make the event. That's fine. But the truth is, they're going to go on with the show. WrestleMania could very well go on with their show as well. I mean, if they need to do extra screening process, things like that, because it's going to be a large-scale crowd, sure, you could do that. And that's okay. So people just need to understand that, things are being done about it. And as long as you protect yourself and you do, keep proper hygiene, soap, water, clean, good, hand sanitizer. Those are the things you need. Treat yourself like you're treating yourself from the flu. Just, try to not avoid to get anything where you're going to breathe anything in. And just, keep a distance from anybody coughing or sneezing. And try not to give any real personal interaction or contact with anybody for now, until this subsides, which we could see a vaccine at some point. Maybe for a few months, we're going to have to go ahead and have this looming over our heads, and people are going to be aware of it and cognizant of it. And that's okay. Let that be. It's okay. We should be thinking like that. I want to think like that, but I do not want you to take the media up for granted and take them at their words, because they're not. They are manipulative. They're not reporting the news as a news. They might be reporting it, but they're going to glorify it. They're going to tabloid style this news. It's not the way to handle this. And the thing is, the news is serving a disservice to everybody. Now, I'm getting off my soapbox. We're going to get back to wrestling now. Okay. But it's real to us. This is where actually wrestling is real, because we're worried about what the wrestlers are going to have to go through. We're going to have to worry about what the wrestling fans are going to be going, not just for WrestleMania, but for all the events that are going to be around WrestleMania, whether it's WWE related or it's other wrestling shows around the area. At the moment, the wrestling world, as far as I know, nobody's canceling anything. Ring of Honor is still doing Supercard of Honor. They're going to go ahead with their shows. They're going to continue. WWE has also made a statement. Let's talk about that. The mayor of Tampa, Jane Castor, is going to meet with the city to discuss any major events that might be canceled or postponed. But at this moment, the city of Tampa, as of this afternoon, as I record this show, March 11th, or excuse me, that was yesterday, the WrestleMania is still planned to proceed on schedule. Keep that in mind. So we'll wait. We'll wait to see if there's any news, anything else that comes of it. Now, there is a change that's going on that I just learned about, and this is news that's just coming out now. So SmackDown apparently is going to take place from the Performance Center on Friday. So Mike Johnson, the PW Insider, is breaking the story that SmackDown will not be from Detroit, Michigan this Friday. Instead, it will be at the Performance Center in Orlando. The decision was made due to the coronavirus outbreak. And that WWE is actually looking to move other shows, and they have not commented to confirm the move to the Performance Center. Let's look at other news as a result of the coronavirus. Like I said, Ring of Honor has said they're going to continue. So let's go ahead and bring that up real quick. Their statement is that they're going to continue with their May 18th anniversary show coming up this Friday, tomorrow as I record. And they're showing the 14th at Sam's in Las Vegas. So they're going to continue that. They're going to monitor the situation. But right now, a lot of stuff in Vegas is going to continue, which, again, I will be there next week. GCW The Collective, which will also be held in Tampa, is also going to happen on WrestleMania weekend. They're going to continue with that. So I think people just need to realize that this is not going to be as much as it was. I think people are really, they're very concerned, and it's okay to be concerned. But seriously, do not take the mainstream news for it. Go to the sources that actually have the news. Honestly, Associated Press. You want to learn about what the CDC is doing? Go to the CDC. Okay? Do it. Might as well do that. Now, one thing that's going to happen is because of the president suspending travel from the U.S. to Europe, it's going to affect weekend plans for thousands of fans coming to WrestleMania. So we don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to make it. We don't know. We're not sure what's going to happen. Now, in terms of WrestleMania, the statement latest from WWE is, we remain committed to hosting the show at Raymond James Stadium Sunday, April 5th. There are no plans currently to cancel or postpone our upcoming events, period. And as I said, there's a lot of things that are being canceled, and that is fine. But what I would say about this event is this, that they should go ahead and, in the real sense of things, I don't think, personally, this show, except for a couple of set matches, I mean, really, it's just a big show. And I know it's a spectacle. It's something they do every year. But this is one of those years that, if they decided to go ahead and not provide WrestleMania this year, and they just said, you know what, something else. I'm one of the few people that actually said, you know what, yeah, you planned this show because you had to plan this show. And yes, you put time and effort into it, absolutely. But I got to ask the question, do we really want to go do this? Is it really worth it? I mean, is this event really going to be as good as we hope it would be? Because I don't think so. Like, I'm not impressed with this card. Now, Becky having her, back and forth with Shayna, got it. AJ and Taker, got it. John Cena, Bray Wyatt, we know we need to build that up. Goldberg, Roman Reigns, we need to build that up. And that's going to be interesting where they're going to have to do that from the Performance Center if that's the case. And I'm guessing that's going to be true if Mike Johnson's saying it. So with all that said, the other thing too is that NXT's already been set up at the Performance Center tonight. They did recordings from there. They did the live show from there tonight. So they could very well go ahead and bring an audience there and the crowd could be there for it and they could just do a TV show. All right? Studio show, if you will. So you could do that, and that's okay. But for the whole sake of the show, I'm just not been impressed by it. And again, my thing is, I think the Wrestling Observer guys, Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer, have been really on point about what they've been saying about how, the fans, there's just a certain breed of fan that's out there that's just really, God forbid anybody says anything about WWE, but here's the thing, it's true. And I've not really touched on this too much, but it is the case. Okay, AEW is the upstart, and they're getting a lot of momentum right now. And they're pulling a pretty good audience on a regular basis, right? Meanwhile, WWE, with what they're able to do, they might be putting out, shows that they're doing on Raw, but again, they're pulling on average 2.1 million viewers. And the SmackDown is getting, 2.4, 2.5? The backstage show now is pulling anemic numbers. Like, they're spiking numbers by doing certain things, by having to put things on. NXT, they have to put on, double cage matches. We have to put on, Cena has to come back. Goldberg has to come back. All this kind of stuff. I mean, these are the things that they have to do to kind of get a rating and pop a rating. But other than that, it's not working. Like, they're not getting the kind of audience back. They have an audience base that is for the establishment. And here's the thing. It goes with any media source. It goes with everything. In radio, it happens a lot. It used to be back in the day where one station was the stalwart. It was the one that everybody goes to. It was there. And you know what? It wasn't great, but it was what you were familiar with. It was what you were comfortable with. And you liked the people there. So you supported it wholeheartedly. And God forbid somebody else comes in to go ahead and take their spot or to get some of their shine. And so when AEW comes into the space, there are people that they don't want the establishment to happen. They don't want a change of the establishment. They don't want the establishment to crumble. Because I don't think people, the diehard WWE fans, I don't think they think that it's going to that the whole space is going to fall apart and crumble. I mean, the company's not going to go down. No. But I think they're afraid of a Monday Night War or another competition. But that's on the company. For Vince trying to do everything he can to not make AEW a competitor, he's failing miserably. These are the kind of things that happen when you're the establishment. When you have somebody in your rearview mirror, which you allowed to have in your rearview mirror, because remember, AEW is a response. It's a response to the fact that for the last 15, 20 years, WWE has not done right for its audience. Let's be honest here. The company started going down after the invasion. After the WCW, ECW invasion. Once they got WCW to fold and ECW folded as well, the landscape changed. And the truth was, WWE could have done a good job, tried to take the rest of those rosters and do something with some of those stars and have new stars to work off of, but they failed. They didn't care. They had won, so it didn't matter to them. But they were not thinking about the long term. They were just in a happy spot, and they were doing well for years and years, and they thought, it doesn't matter, we can do no wrong. And they've continued to erode their audience year after year. So AEW as a response. Now, I might have remembered talking about, I don't know if I talked about, yes, I did talk about the Wrestling Observer Awards after Elimination Chamber, which the post shows up on the website. I'll bring some comments about that as well. Now, Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez mentioned the fact that the awards, where you had very few WWE stars listed in the awards by the people that are subscribers that voted on this, is an indictment to the performance of the brand. So the fact that WWE is losing in house shows, losing in stock, losing in ratings, it's an indictment on their performance, on their lack of forward thinking, their lack of future planning. Okay, they have milked this. They've milked this cow dry. They've made the most possible money off of this brand, and they have milked the legacy of this brand. And they have to find a new legacy. They have to have something else to live off of. Because understand, it's just like the circus. It's just like, a lot of different things. You cannot live off your history. You have to continue to keep history going. You have to build historical things. You have to have WrestleMania moments. You have to have new things that happen. Memorable moments on this program. They're not doing it. You're holding on to an older, fading, eroding fan base. You are not bringing in new fans. And as long as the long control of WWE over their stars and the way their format's done, and it's so micromanaged, it's going to stay that way. And we're not going to be content. Now, I said what I said about Elimination Chamber this past weekend. And I know what I heard from other shows when I'm one of the few people that praised the Shayna Baszler booking. I did not say the match was good. Let me make sure that's clear. I didn't say that the match was great because the people they had in it were not going to be that good. God bless the Riot Squad, but they're not made for that match. I mean, the women that could be made for that match, they're not there. The truth was, the Elimination Chamber gimmick was really not necessary for here. It's, again, like they use Money in the Bank or Hell in the Cell. Those gimmicks are wasted because they have forced them to become pay-per-view events. They're tent poles now. And then they can't find ways to make those tent poles work. So then they're stuck with what they have. Because then they have to go and deal with the fact that they're not trying to book a pay-per-view around something they need. If they didn't have all these pay-per-views scheduled as they are, it would make a difference. But they feel like, well, we need the gimmicks to sell the shows. No, you don't. You need the matches to sell the shows. It'd be one of the things they could do. But again, they already have the graphics done. They have everything all put together. All they got to do is just change the music. They got certain sets all together. They don't want to do the extra work of creating new pay-per-views and new shows. They don't want to do that. They want to work with a routine, a system that works, that's effective and efficient. That's what they want. They're corporate. They don't want to take the extra trouble to create something new and unique and different. They don't want to do that. They have the WWE machine, and they want to run the WWE machine. They want to run it like they want to run it. And they think, well, it's this person that doesn't work. Or this person's not going to be any good. We're going to bury this person. We're going to move this person. We're not going to put this person up. We're going to elevate them up to a certain point and then bring them down because they're going to be off the ceiling. Think about it. Look at what's happening now. Again, the machine has created fail-safes so they can keep stars happy and content. Lots of money. Some punani if you're like a male wrestler getting to go and hook up with a female wrestler and get to bang her once you want, or you get to marry her or whatever. Like you're in the Olympic Village. And you're also in an echo chamber. And the other thing is the diehard WWE fans are also in an echo chamber. They can't look past the bubble. They can't pop the bubble open to look at AEW or MLW or NWA or Impact Wrestling. They can't. Or New Japan. They can't do it. Or they know about those companies, but those companies to them are so inferior to WWE that again, we've talked about those podcasters that say, well, this person would only be good if they were in WWE. We've heard that over and over. And it doesn't do any good. But everybody thinks that way. A lot of people think that way. I don't. And I'm glad I don't. I never have. Now, when I looked at Elimination Chamber as a whole, when I gave my comments, it only took about 15 minutes to talk about it. I said it was fine. And the reason I said it was fine is because I have no curve to give to this show. I expect mediocre. I anticipate mediocre. Was anybody really sloppy in any of the matches? No. Everybody performed. Performed pretty well. For the most part, everybody performed up to snuff. But was the match booked well? No. Was there any real storylines? No. The only one that had a storyline was Shayna Baszler. And the way they booked that match, I don't see how they couldn't have booked it any other way. That was the only way they could have done it, as far as I'm concerned. Like, it made sense to get Shayna Baszler hot because it was going to make her good for Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch got the stupid get off of her, the jacket and the glasses. She gave a tough, pretty decent promo. Okay. Feud on. Good. She got that. AJ Styles and Undertaker. Well, AJ Styles is beginning upended by that Undertaker, and what's going to go with that? Plus, Aleister Black got a win on him, right? And so all that going on, I'm like, whatever. Again, I just don't care for AJ Styles and Undertaker. That's not a match we wanted. It's not a match I care about. Now, Randy Orton and Edge, different story. Edge and Randy Orton, that's a hot feud. Otis, Dolph Ziggler, remember they had that kind of thing going on for a little bit, and people kind of cared about that on SmackDown. If that's the best you can really be concerned about, if that's what you're actually kind of interested in on SmackDown, like Firefly Funhouse, that doesn't have the kind of bite it did 4 months ago. Think about it. Like, look where we are with things. And then you got to ask yourself, like, the booking is so predictable and it's structured. It's just, there is a format. It's like a rule book. This is the way things are done. This is the way the machine works. You don't deviate from the machine. You're not allowed to. And nobody gets to. NXT is run like a machine. Yeah, listen, okay, on NXT at the end of the night, Gargano and Ciampa. Yeah, that's good stuff. But again, look what you have to do to get that crowd to kind of amp up. You have to give them massacre, right? To get that crowd really into it, you have to put all of it out there. Mara's got to go really crazy on the mic. Nigel's got to put his point, and then Beth comes in right after. Like, you really have to push yourself to the limit on that show and make everything like so super adrenalized to make that important. And who cares about that? Why does it matter? But they do it like that because that's the way the show is done. And is it really sparking anything? No, they're getting the same audience, but it's an older audience. It's less than half of what Raw gets. It's a third of what SmackDown gets. And that's the best you get. And that cannot be the best that Vince McMahon should expect for this brand. And, some of the things he's done, he's going to pay the price for it. The Saudi stuff, yeah, he's paying the price for it. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be considered about how is WrestleMania, can they book a WrestleMania card that's going to be really, really great? Randy Orton versus Edge, you could have done it any time. Beforehand, you could have done it before he got hurt, right? I mean, yeah, there's a significant here, but again, these are older guys to a certain extent. And bringing about part-timers, which will not matter at all in the long run after WrestleMania. So why do we have WrestleMania 4? Again, it's just a moneymaker. That's all it is. Drew McIntyre has a chance to get over. Maybe Roman Reigns. Maybe Shayna Baszler. But are they going to get over? Are they going to become top box office draws? Will the company allow it? No. And don't tell me that you believe that they are. You're second guessing. You're really just, you're delusional if you do. That is the truth. You're delusional if you think that all these people, the hope, the wishful thinking you have, that these people are going to get over like they are. Now, don't get me wrong. You'll get a rub off of, like, say, where Seth Rollins got a rub for what he got to do. Kevin Owens the same way. There's certain people that get a rub. But I like a Revolution from a few weeks ago. I'm telling you, you look at the way the Revolution came out 2 weeks ago and look at the way that Elimination Chamber came across, night and day. And that's what it is. And you have to understand that I'm not trying to bash WWE because of the fact that they're just doing wrong things. My point is they need to get better. For the sake of wrestling right now underneath them, the people that are trying to get up to their level, they're doing some great stuff right now. So it is inherent upon World Wrestling Entertainment to get their shit together. They have to. And so the only way it's going to work, point my finger in the air, the way it's going to work, the way we're going to see actual sea change in WWE, for Vince McMahon, Triple H, Stephanie, and the rest of that crew, for them to see significant change, the only way it happens is if for AEW to get to the level in terms of audience, in terms of reach, when AEW is able to get consistently into 10,000 seat arenas every Wednesday night and fill them up, and they're able to get over 2 million viewers on their program on TNT. They're halfway there right now. They're filling 5,000 seat arenas now, and they're getting almost 1 million people watching on TV, and over 1 million when you count the on-demand viewers that watch after 7 days. You're getting that audience right now. They're getting money behind it. They have money to work with. They have money for talent, and they're bringing new talent. They're doing new things, fresh things all the time. And they're actually booking storylines. They're booking stories. They have logical stories and logical matches, different outcomes. It is what WWE is not. They're not WWE Light. They're different. A different type of mentality. That's what AEW is doing. So AEW, as I said before they became a thing back in January last year, I said we need them to become the competition. They have to be able to get to that. They are ready to step up. This is the most important thing. In the 6 months or 5 months or so, this company has been in existence on television. This show, in leaps and bounds, has progressed quickly. This show is nearing the level it needs to be. It's going to take another year. But the thing is, within the next year or two, or by the time the contract for the TV on TNT, for their 4-year deal to go ahead and subside, by that point, AEW, I'm pretty sure, is going to be at the level of WWE in terms of audience and in terms of house shows, and in terms of being able to bring audience. I think that's going to happen. I'm not going to pull the kind of revenue yet, but they're going to be able to get the kind of reach and the ability to pull the kind of audience on television and in person that WWE is able to do. They're not going to pull WrestleManias together, no. But they're going to be able to consistently pull some good crowds at every arena they're at. They're not going to necessarily step up to the big arenas yet. They're going to go to the college stadiums. They're going to go to the smaller arenas, still the mid-sized ones. But they're able to fill those. They got good crowds going to all these places, and people are having a good time. So they're getting that right. They're getting somewhere with it. For WWE, they have to get themselves, the competition has to come to them. Again, in their heydays, at every time they had heavy, stiff competition. When you had Hulk Hogan and Savage and Andre and Ultimate Warrior and all that stuff going on, 80s, 90s, all the way through, you had territories. You had the NWA into WCW. You had lots of things going on. Multiple outlets out there. Lots of TV shows with wrestling. And then it became a two-person race, WCW and WWF. And that was how it was. And that personal feud right there in the 90s, in the 86 weeks. The 86 weeks, Vince probably gets nightmares about that, about can that happen again? And at his age, he's thinking, this is my rearview mirror. I'm not going to have that happen again. That's not going to happen to me. The point is, they're being protective. They're being defensive. They're on defense. They're not playing on offense. And WWE is best. They are great when their backs are against the wall and they are on the offense. They're excellent at it. That's why the Attitude Era came to be. That's what rock and wrestling came to be. When there was a motivation, they were hungry. And they had a chip on their shoulder. And when Vince has had a chip on his shoulder the several times it's happened, the Attitude Era came up. The rock and wrestling era came up. And to a lesser extent, the Ruthless Aggression era came up. There were certain successes between some of those and many of those. And right now, this company needs to find that. They need to find their next era. They need to find their next place in history. And I don't know what that's going to be. And they've had some signs of some good things here and there, some sparks. Look, they could have very well gotten Becky Lynch off the ground and done right by her. They could have gotten Bray Wyatt right off the ground and done right by her. They could have done the same with Roman Reigns. They could have done it with Seth Rollins, but they haven't. They chose not to. When I think about Drew McIntyre coming up at WrestleMania this year, if that match is going to happen, if we're going to get that show, I'm not so concerned about Drew McIntyre when it comes to that he's going to become a big star after this. Because I don't think that matters to me at all. What I think does matter for Drew McIntyre following his career as Drew Galloway when he came back and going to Impact and going to other places and making a name for himself and trying to build himself back up. Yeah. The fact that he was considered the chosen one back in 2006, 2007? Vince McMahon coined him as such. For Drew McIntyre to come back to this company, listen, for his sake, I understand why he came back. And now he has the opportunity, and he is working his ass off right now to make the most of the opportunity to get the chip off his shoulder. Because he was part of SCW. He was part of this whole system from the beginning. And when he left, he made a name for himself, made him worthy to come back, made himself a better star. Now he's getting the run with that star. He's getting the chance to take on Brock Lesnar. And you know what? If they let him beat Brock Lesnar, then Drew McIntyre can consider himself redeemed in his WWE career. He was able to come back, and he was able to get back and become the person that the whole company at one point thought he could be. They were behind him before. They're behind him again, and they're going to let him try to lead things up. And that'll be a great story. That's the story they need to tell. They haven't done that. In the next few weeks, they should stop focusing so much on the feud between Brock Lesnar and him. The story of Drew McIntyre needs to be told about his personal story. We should hear his personal story of the fact that, yeah, I was in FCW. You have the footage. I was the chosen one, shattered dreams, all of that. And then I got thrown in a 3-man band and I was ridiculed and I became a joke. And then I left. I was released. And I fought hard and I worked myself in the indies and I worked in Impact and I went in other places. And I built myself back up. I made myself bigger, stronger, better. I had some wisdom, some age. I became a seasoned veteran. And getting myself on the road humbled me. Made me grateful for another opportunity to come back. And now I'm here, and I'm going to take on Brock Lesnar for the top prize of this company, the WWE Championship. And I'm going to beat Brock Lesnar. And the Claymore kick's going to be enough to make me win it. That's the story we should tell. That's the story they should tell. It tells itself. You just put a sit-down interview with him and Drew McIntyre and just play it out. Man, wouldn't that be a great story? That would make me more invested into the Brock Lesnar-Drew McIntyre match. Wouldn't it now? Then, when Drew McIntyre wins that belt, it becomes a WrestleMania moment. And it's like Kofi Kingston, all like last year. It'll be a better story than Kofi Kingston, all due respect. But it'll be a great story. And you'll say to yourself, man, after all this time, I can't believe that Drew McIntyre got a chance to go and be in front of the crowd, win in Tampa, win the belt. He got his WrestleMania moment. After all this time, he got it. Damn, that's great for him. I'm so proud of him. That'd be a great story. For me, Drew McIntyre and Shayna Baszler need to come out on top at WrestleMania. That's what needs to happen. They should do it. I don't even see why they shouldn't do that. I think it would be a great story to tell. I wish they would, but, you know, it's their decision. That's what they decided to do. It's just too bad. It's unfortunate. But what are we going to say about it, right? We just have to leave it as is. Anyway, I want to go and talk a little bit about Ring of Honor's 13th anniversary, or excuse me, the 18th anniversary show. Jesus, it's already going to that point. Let's talk about that. It's coming up this weekend, and I'll probably get a chance to talk about it soon enough. When we get to it, I'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to bring it up into a show about it. I'm going to probably just watch it and then reach up and talk about it next week on the show. I think that's what I'll probably do. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with the schedule because I need to go and make sure I'm all set to go and make the trip out to Vegas. Anyway, matches have all been set up for Sam's Town Live Las Vegas for this Friday for Ring of Honor's 18th anniversary show. I probably won't watch it live. I'll probably catch it on a replay. Anyway, the matches we have, Bully Ray versus Eli Isom. I'll take Eli Isom for the win. PCO and Brody King versus Alexander Ray Horace. I think PCO and Brody King win. Yes, as you didn't know, PCO is no longer champion. Roosh is now. Session Moth Martina versus Nicole Savoy. I'll take Session Moth Martina. Dealer's Choice winner receives a title match of his choosing. Dan Moff, Kenny King, Bateman, and Shane Taylor. I will take Dan Moff to win that. Joe Henry and Dalton Castle versus the Briscoes. I'll take the Briscoes. Jeff Cobb versus Slex. I'll take Jeff Cobb. Ring of Honor Tag Team titles, Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal champions versus Villain Enterprises, Marty Skrull and Flip Gordon. I will take Gresham and Lethal to retain. Television Championship, Dragon Lee versus Bandito. I'll take Dragon Lee to retain. And Roosh versus Mark Haskins for the Ring of Honor World title. I will take Roosh to retain. And that's what I got for that. I don't really want to talk about the things where Ricochet's been basically buried into the roster now because now he's wrestling on main event. He's not even on the main roster now. The Revival getting, not even getting paid now as they're sitting now, not even being part of things. That's a new story that's going on. I'll bring that up for a second. So it looks like Revival's going to be leaving and they're going to go to AEW. Matt Marty most likely will also leave the AEW, looks like. But Elimination Chamber, the Revival was supposed to be in that tag team Elimination Chamber match, but Lucha House Party became replaced. Fightful.com cites sources saying that Dawson and Wilder are either not getting paid or their pay has been extremely scaled back because they've been exceeding their downside guarantees. They have exceeded their downside guarantees. Dawson and Wilder are trying to get their releases and have not been able to. I don't know when their deal is supposed to be done yet. We haven't figured that part out. But that's another thing that has to be considered as well when you think about things. Looking at the wrestling contract expiration dates, let's take a look real quick. Revival, at the moment, April 2020, Dash Wilder had 10 weeks tacked on. Rey Mysterio, Primo Colon are scheduled for October 2020. Am I going to talk about Gronk, Rob Gronkowski, the former New England Patriots tight end for the NFL, possibly signing? No. Why? Again, it's not going to matter too much of anything. It's just whatever it is. So again, at the moment, most of the talent for WWE besides the Revival and Matt Hardy are pretty well all locked in. Everybody's well locked in, right? It is what it is, folks. Oh, well. We'll just leave it there. And like I said, what I'll do is we will go ahead and come back. We'll see what they continue to build for WrestleMania. We'll see if the coronavirus makes any difference. But like I said, I think they should just go and drop the show, honestly, because I just feel like it's not well booked. I mean, I think you could just put the event, you could put certain matches on other shows or something like that. I don't know. This doesn't feel like a WrestleMania this year. And if you're looking for an excuse for the company not to do a really good job with what they've been doing, well, then you know what? I wouldn't be upset if they did. That's how I really feel about it. I just wish they can get themselves in the right spot, but they're not. They need to figure things out, but they're in a rough spot, man. In a real rough spot. So let them figure themselves out. So we're going to leave it there. Thanks again for listening in, finding the show, subscribing to it. Until next week, please do not panic over the virus. Keep calm. Everything's going to be okay. I really believe that. And say a little prayer if you need to. Not a bad thing to go and give a little prayer to the man upstairs and pray that we don't have anything more severe than what we have right now. And that people will actually come through this okay. So anyway, come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. For more information on how to subscribe to the show, how to share the Wrestling is Real podcast to listeners like you, and check out the latest wrestling headlines, go to WrestlingIsReal.com. That's WrestlingIsReal.com.